Hey, how are you?
Hey, doing good. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How's your midweek going?
Say it again.
How's your midweek going? How's your hump day going?
Oh, it's going good. It's going good. So far, so good. A lot of
Good.
rain.
Good. A lot of what?
A lot of rain.
Oh yeah, it's pretty dreary here as well. I don't know what's happening, but definitely glad for it to be Wednesday. Well, thanks so much for you to taking the time to speak with us today. I wanted to jump right in. Welcome viewers to another IG Live brought to you by the Quintessential Gentleman. My name is Aaron Campbell. I am fashion editor for QG, and today we are really lucky to have a special guest with us, Venny Etienne, and Venny is a fashion designer based out of Texas. You might recognize him from season 17 of Bravo's Project Runway. He is now the creative director of his own line called Lavinity, which focuses on luxury sportswear for women. And he has dressed the likes of Fantasia, Michelle Williams, Cardi B, and of course, Queen Bee, which we will get to a little later in our talk. But welcome so much, welcome, and thank you so much for being here with us.
Having me.
Uh, Great, great. So just starting off with everything going on, I wanted to check in and just see how have you been holding up. I know COVID and everything happening with Black Lives Matter has taken a toll on a lot of us. So how have you been holding up, and how's everything been for you for the over the past few months?
Yeah, it's definitely been a roller coaster. Nonetheless, a lot of ups and a lot. You know, um, this year has just been upside down since the beginning. From the very beginning when the hit, of course, it's been hard for a fashion industry uh, companies such as myself to survive.
Yeah,
So we years, um, produce face masks, help the frontline workers, and then from there, kind of like see what everyone is wanting or expecting, and then in the process, we have all of this police brutality and lives matter, and having to see the injustice continue even now as we speak. So it's been a roller coaster, and then on top of that, of course, Beyonce. So like it's just been all over the place.
yes, yes. I mean, definitely, clearly a big year for you, but I'm sure one that's been, a roller coaster because I mean, COVID has definitely turned the fashion industry as well as so many other industries upside down. And I think even with what's happening with Black Lives Matter, sometimes we ask ourselves, what really matters for, what really matters in terms of what we're doing, and how is what we're doing impacting the greater good. So definitely would love to talk to you about that a little later. But just for our viewers, can you give us just high level context about your background? So, where are you from? What or who inspired you to get into fashion, and how did you decide to become a fashion designer as a career?
Yeah. So originally from Brooklyn, New York. Right now I live in Dallas, Texas. My parents are from Haiti, so Haitian American, you could say, first generation. But I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and I grew up in the church. And really, I mean, it's funny, but really, that's where my fashion started. Like, we used to do church fashion shows. I don't know if other people used to do that, but back in the day, right? Back, yeah. So, I mean, we did like church fashion shows, but when everyone was, I guess, taking it as, very light and fun, I looked at it as it was a really cool, serious thing that I could actually pursue. And so when we first started out doing it, it was more so of just for fun. Like we would buy clothes, we would put it on ourselves, and then we'll walk down the church aisle, and it's a fashion show. Here the organizer at that time kind of like just mentioned to the group who actually amongst us wants to actually design next year. So I raised my hand, and I guess being that we're trying to do things, that was one of the things I was interested in trying to do. So I went to Salvation Army. We bought like a bunch of like thrift like blazers and jackets and sports coats, and we went to the fabric store. We bought a couple of fabrics as well, and we deconstructed blazers and added like fabric to the lapel, to the pockets. Um, and by the time it was ready for the fashion show and it was the fitting and seeing all of like the models in my garment, I guess that's when I actually was like, oh, whoa, like, okay, taking an idea creating something actually be something that I'd like to get into.
Right.
Um, there, from the response that I got from a lot of the people in the audience, kind of just gave me the motivation to go to school for it. So
Yep.
I transitioned from investment banking, which is what I went to school for, and went to FIT.
Oh wow.
When I work, yeah. Didn't get accepted the first year. Second year, I applied for fashion merchandise and management. That way I could get more of like the business side, and then I moved to Dallas and then continued my education here at Wade College. Graduated there, and that's, I guess, my education wise. But in the process, I was always designing, always wanting to learn more and just kind of keep going. But that's really like beginnings, of everything.
So you graduate with your degree, and so what was happening in between then and then when you got to Project Runway? Was that a long period of time? Was it pretty immediate? And then what was that process like of kind of getting on the show?
Yeah. So in the, I mean, no, but there are people who in the industry kind of look down on Project Runway a lot because of the title, Project Runway designer. Sometimes, depending on who it is, they may not be successful, or it may hurt your career.
Oh wow.
Um, so, right. I mean, it's really those people who kind of like really get into it that they, I guess, see it that way. But for me, that has always prevented me from ever trying out. So I was like, you know what? Let me just build this brand of my own. Let me just continue doing what I'm doing, and make collections, build my clientele. And one year, which was 2018, the director reached out to me and said, we had a meeting and a name came up, and I was like, okay. So I guess having to know that instead of me reaching out or trying to apply, but they were reaching out to me,
Yep.
made me feel like, what, this year, let me just go through the process. Let me apply. Let me give my best foot forward. And if I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't. Like, to me, I felt like I wasn't doing anything at that time, because at that time of my business, things were kind of like running smoothly, and I was kind of ready for the next thing. And so when that opportunity came my way, I was like, you know what, let me just go for it. And so I went through one level, went to the next level, flew me to LA for the final level. And I'm like, whoa, like, this is all really going through. Like, am I really about to make this show? And then after like the final, it's like we had to like wait like another 2 weeks or so to hear if I made it or not. Like, that whole 2 weeks is when I was finally like, you know what? They better say I made it, because I want it. I want to go, And then finally they called and said, on the show. Then that was, and then the rest was history there.
Nice, nice. So you obviously made it. What was the process like? What was the experience like, week
Oh,
to week or assignment to assignment? And then after you finished on the show, what was the response? Did you see any changes to your business or to your career?
oh yeah. So the process, I mean, I didn't know what to expect, other than I was not going to have enough time to make the clothes that I want to make, because it's a crunch time. So you only got about 20 minutes to sketch, 20 minutes for a fabric store. You got about a day to do um, the actual garment. So I was trying to prepare myself. I had like a good 2 or 3 weeks. So by that time, I was just preparing myself for those time crunches, because I know that that's what this whole show is about. Um, and I think that was probably the most challenging thing, was just knowing that, you know, have my surroundings that I'm used to. Like, I'm not in my place. I'm removed from what my norm is, and now have to design and create with, no inspiration. I just got to go based off of what I know. Um, but it was an amazing experience. Like, to this day, a lot of me and my cast members from that show still stay in contact. Even on this particular Beyonce outfit that I made, Garrow from the show helped me like create shoulders, because I didn't really know the process of it. So he kind of like just texted me some ideas, and I was like, oh, perfect, you're a lifesaver. So I guess that's one thing like from the show. I was able to, um, I guess, cultivate the relationship with a lot of the designers, the judges. Stay in contact, me and Elaine Maxwell. And from the show, I think what's helped me the most was just learn how to work under pressure, because that's
Right.
what the show. Before, I was always timid to take on tasks, knowing I didn't have enough time. But now, I'm able to take on more because that show helped me sharpen my skills and refine it even more.
Yeah, and working under pressure, I'm sure, comes in handy these days because like the entire industry is under pressure.
Right, pressure cooker.
So you already kind of hinted at this, but want to transition a bit. So, as everyone knows, Beyonce, Queen, King B, dropped the fantastic visual album called Black is King this year, which was epic. It was epic, of course, for the music, for the performances, but the fashion got a lot of attention. I think a lot more attention than probably any of her other kind of periods of her career. And I, can think of every magazine, every Instagram fashion page, like literally chronicling every outfit that she wore. So of course you were one of the designers that contributed to her wardrobe. So walk us through like what that process is like, because the one thing I think that intrigues a lot of us is that she has these humongous projects involving all these people and you really don't know anything about them until they hit. So what was it like for you, like being a part of that? How did you get inspired? What was it like being a part of a King Bee production?
Right. So, I mean, it was everything. It was amazing. It actually happened very quickly, and it actually was a year ago that
Oh,
I did the outfit. So I didn't know to what extent we was work like what we were doing, what it was for. As you can tell, like even in a lot of Beyonce's lyrics, like if you want to hang out with her, you have to sign a. So we just working here, do all the only end result we know is that it's going to Beyonce. So her style reached out once we finished doing something for Niecy Nash, which that also helped because there was something that I did for Niecy Nash with Zarina Akers, and it was all done in one day.
oh wow.
Like from fabric to making it to shipping it, all in one day. And so when that was a success, Zarina just reached out and said, "All right, I got you something for B." And I said, wait, finish the word. Who?"
With speed.
I'm like, please tell me you talking about DB. So I literally stopped everything I don't know what I had planned. I don't know what was on my schedule. I literally dropped everything for like the past 4 or 5 days because I think I had like about 4 or 5 days to get this completed. And so everything I did, I was sourced here locally in Dallas. So from the fabric, um, from all the hardware that was on the actual jacket. It's hard to see in the video, but that's why I posted a lot of the pictures. But all of the buttons and the buckles and all that stuff, all here locally in Dallas. But we kind of collaborated on the idea because she knows I specialize in outerwear a lot.
Right.
And she wanted something structural, something strong, and something emphasized. So that's when we went with the shoulders. So I sketched like several sketches, sent it to her, see one kind of resonated with her. We chose that one, and then got the fabric, and then literally like for a good 2 days straight, I did not sleep. Like I was on adrenaline in terms of knowing like Vinny, this is your like, mind you, this was now I did all this a year ago, thinking that this was going to be something that would have posted a year ago,
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm just like motivated. I'm focused as ever. I've never been so focused on any other project other than this or like than this one. Um, and I was up for like 2 days just working on the patterns, like trying to figure out the structure of it because it's more of a performance piece, so it took longer than normal. Um, but it was stressful at the same time because I'm a perfectionist. I take a lot of time on every single detail. Uh, and of course, they need it like right away, like five,
Right.
4 days. So now I'm like, okay, I got to get this done. And then I shipped it out. And then this whole time I'm thinking it's something that would probably drop in fall. A little cute little music video, little, not, I did not think at all it was going to be for Black is King during a pandemic, during when Black lives is like shining and needing to be risen, needing to be out. So I was just floored at the production of the timing of everything, of how relevant it is.
Yeah, I mean the timing of everything, the timing of when she dropped it was clearly divinely ordained. I don't know if that was planned. I don't know if she just, caught the mood of the moment and decided to hold out, but it was perfect. And I think it was perfect because, at the same time, so many um, magazines, so many people were wondering how can we support Black artists? How can we support Black talent? Who are the Black designers out there, and how can we patronize them, and how can we support them and make sure their business flourish? And I think that one thing that I've seen from the Black is King project is that so many of the designers, or so many people who were included in the project, I mean, they are now getting so much more attention than they were, and I've learned of people who I didn't even know about previous to it dropping. So I'm wondering
Yeah.
what that was like for you. And kind of in addition to that, more broadly, I know we know that Black talent, you all need dollars, we all need dollars, we need the business. But outside of the business point, outside of purchasing, what other ways do you feel like Black designers could be supported, or that we in the Black community could be supporting Black designers and getting all those names out there more broadly?
Yeah. Um, I would say continue, continue trend. I mean, word of mouth is always the best marketing tool. Um, if you really truly believe this, learn the business because I am for Black businesses, but if if a Black business, let's say, failing or not doing their thing or whatever the case may be, I I would support it by giving them feedback of how to improve.
Mm,
So, and I'm thinking the way others in the Black community could contribute to our business or any other business, support it if you love it. If you don't love it and you know that it's a Black business, give some positive, constructive feedback of what they can do, of what you like for them to provide you. Because one thing that I realize, like for us Black businesses, and of course I'm not talking about every single Black business, but when we look at these other businesses, regardless of their race or whatever, of course, predominantly I'm talking about white businesses. I mean, they have many of the business in their family,
right.
so have all that trial and error. They have the money if they mess up. Thing is, for some of us Black businesses, if we mess up that one time, that's it. Like we're out of business.
Yep.
So I feel as though we need to kind of support one another by letting us know what we're doing good and also letting us know what we're doing great. I mean, bad.
Yeah.
Because like, I remember there was one time here in Dallas, I wanted to support a Black restaurant and no one came to serve me. No one came. Like I was waiting by the door. I'm like, okay, no, we got to do better.
Right.
So I spoke with the manager. I said, you know what? I've been here for about 30 minutes. I really want to support you guys because, it's a Black business. I'm a Black business. I understand how hard it is, especially time, but you guys got to do better. Because if I go across the street to the other restaurant, I'm being like attended to right away. And it's not like you guys are busy. So I think that's an example, like we need to like don't turn the other way towards the business, like still try to figure out ways we could kind of like uplift each other
Yeah.
and have to be with dollars.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think, one way we can look at figuring out how we can increase our agency in the fashion industry is by looking at clearly how we can support Black designers. But even in supporting them, Black designers are still part of an industry that is predominantly white,
Right.
predominantly, does not reflect kind of our culture. And so there's also the question of how can we make the broader industry more inclusive? Um, what are your thoughts on that? Because as we've seen with the Black Lives Matter movement, so many Black creatives in the fashion industry have come out, whether they be designers, models, editors, photographers, saying, they have not felt like they've had the support
Right.
from their organizations or from the people that they work with. They don't feel like they've been promoted in magazines or whatever. So what tangible ways do you think that the fashion industry could be more inclusive of Black talent?
Give us a seat, like let us sit down right next to you, the person who's making the decisions, because it would come more it would be more acceptable as not being cultural appropriating our community and our culture, um, when you actually have people in our culture in those rooms in
Right.
the decisions, because I think that that's where a lot of companies probably fall or fail, is they make their attempt to show their support for Black Lives Matter, and you could almost tell that there's nobody that's Black in there,
Yeah.
because it just seems so like, you know. So I think the best thing for companies or businesses or allies, I should, people who are wanting to support the Black community and uplift the Black community, like invite us in, have sit down with you, especially if it's someone that you know and someone that you trust, like just invite them in, because I think that that would be the best and the most effective way. Because now it will come from a voice from someone who's experienced it firsthand, because it like the message may not have to be quote unquote Black Lives Matter. It could be something very specific and catered to your business that could go towards your customers, to where they see clearly, okay, this is a very diverse company that is all about all about people of color, and I think that would probably be like the best approach.
Yeah, I completely agree. So switching gears a bit, I mean, coming off the high of Black is King and working with B, you also have a new collection that's dropped of your own, 003 or 003. Which one is it?
Oh, that's funny. I don't even know. Probably.
Well, 003, the 003 collection. Can you tell us about the collection, what inspired it, and of course, where people can buy it?
Of course. So, I mean, the collection 3 was inspired. Really, it started from the coat that I made for Beyonce, but then I kind of expanded it a little bit more, because as I was sketching it, I was inspired by my upbringing and growing up in Brooklyn, New York, born and raised in projects, but also my parents who are from Haiti. So trying to put like these cultures together and seeing ways that it could merge, which is why you see such structural that I made for Beyonce. You see the same type of structure in this collection.
Yeah.
Vibrancy in the colors, like I did for Beyonce, reminds me so much of the vibrancy that I saw when I went to Haiti. So that's where it's kind of like two worlds just coming together in harmony, and my interpretation of the silhouettes that I saw growing up in Brooklyn. Of course, I'm an 80s baby, so the 90s was nothing but the broad shoulders
Yep.
and shoulder pads and all of these oversized looks that, tension in the waist. So a lot of those silhouettes is something that inspires me because of my upbringing, and that's kind of like what put the collection all together. Right now, I do have the collection on my website. It's levenity.com. And also, I have it on my shoppable Instagram as well.
Nice. And do you do custom pieces as well, or is it just what's featured on the site?
No, yeah, I have a custom portal on the website as well. So people could actually submit for a custom request as well.
Nice, awesome. We'll definitely do that. Viewers, definitely either support through the ready to wear or through the custom pieces. We always
Yeah.
want to show our support to the brilliant Black talent that we have out there. I know we're coming up on the end of the conversation, but I always like to end with something very tangible that the viewers can take away? And I know that we often have a lot of aspiring fashion designers, fashion creatives that watch these lives. What's the one piece of advice that you wish someone had given you when you were starting out in the industry, particularly, I guess, from the lens of maybe a Black or brown designer? What's one thing that you wish someone had told you that you would share with our audience as kind of a piece of advice?
So that it's not going to be easy. Um, it takes a lot of hard work, takes a lot of dedication, takes a lot of, I guess, it takes like a lot of, it takes a lot of everything. Like the life of an entrepreneur is up and down. It's like the stock market, just up and down. Is don't allow the downs to forget your ups. Because
Mm,
everything that we go through, it could always seem as though it's not going to happen. Like, this is not the first time I pitched to a celebrity or submitted something to a celebrity. If I told you how many times, you would be like, whoa. You know, I mean, a lot of what we see on social media could make another creative impressed because they
absolutely.
success, but they don't know the many times, like all of that is still in there. So as people are praising and saying, "Oh my gosh, Vinny, you did Beyonce, I can't believe it," and all that stuff, they didn't see when I was calling my best friend crying about how I just can't do this, or I have a line to make and I don't have enough time, I don't have the fabric. I told someone I had the fabric, all of that is encompassed as part of what you see. So, like, if you see that I made a code for Beyonce at Black, like, it came with the crying nights. It came with the
Right.
many. So just know that that is part of the process.
Yeah.
It's something that you can't omit. It's not that you can't run away from. So if you're okay with that, knowing that if you stay committed to it, you would see success pop up, you know? So just be faithful to the process and just
Mm.
continue to work hard.
Be faithful to the process. I think that is advice that you can apply across so many parts of life, so many industries, so many things that we're going through, particularly when you highlighted the social media piece. I think it's very easy to think that everyone's just kind of getting everything, and I guarantee you the vast majority of us receive more no's than we do yeses.
Yeah.
So I think that's brilliant advice. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. I'm sure the viewers got a lot from it. We hope to have you back. And thanks again. Thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone that watched tonight.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.